not recording it?
No.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready?
Yeah. When we're doing a facial aesthetics treatment, anti-wrinkle treatment, we oftentimes will treat the upper face in the female, and there's three particular areas that we're going to treat. The first is the forehead, and so this is one muscle, the frontalis muscle. We'll treat what's called the glabella between the nose and the eyebrows, and that's a number of muscles like procerus, corrugator supercilii, depressor supercilii, and then we're going to treat around the eyes, so the orbicularis oculi muscle, which is one circular muscle all the way around the eyes. So if you lift your eyebrows, so this is frontalis lifting the eyebrows up, and it can just cause a little bit of creasing in the skin of the forehead. And if you draw your eyebrows down and in, so if you frown, yeah, you can see a little bit of creasing in between the eyebrows, that's the glabellar muscles. And then if you smile, then and then you can just see a little bit of wrinkling, or this area we often terms the crow's feet. So I get asked by people that they just want to have their forehead treated, and we typically won't do this because if we relax this muscle here on its own, it's going to be unopposed by the muscles of the glabella, and you're going to get slightly heavier eyebrows, which is obviously, you're going to look angry all the time, which is a slightly undesirable look. So we'll typically treat the forehead, the frontalis muscle, along with the glabella, so that these muscles are balanced and we have a bit more of a natural look here. We can treat the muscles of the glabella on their own, just to prevent this lines from between the eyebrows, and we can often just treat the orbicularis oculi muscles on their own. So if we're going to now draw up and determine how we would treat, so we're going to just take a line from the side of the nose through, if you open your eyes for me, just through the mid-pupil, look straight up to the ceiling, and then I'm going to mark out the areas where we're not really going to treat. And then if we go from the mid-pupil line and about 2 centimetres up from that, so this is determining our safety zone. So we're not really going to treat below this area above the eyebrows or outside of this area in the frontalis. Women often like to have a little bit of an eyebrow lift, and if we treat this area here, then we cause what's called a brow ptosis, where you can get a drop of the eyebrows. Or in fact, if we treat the frontalis muscle too low, again you can get a brow ptosis. So now we've determined the area that we're going to treat. We'll just pick some spots there, and if you raise your eyebrows again, we're going to look and feel for where this muscle activity is. So typically want something mid-pupil, and again mid-pupil, and we sometimes will treat a little bit higher up so we can just maintain the contour of the eyebrows. So we could do 5 points across the forehead there. Now the product will typically spread about 1.5 to 2 centimetres. So you can see that's quite a nice even spread there. We could do those in points and put a couple of units into each of those 5 points, or we might choose some more points and just use less units but more injection points, and then that will nicely treat the frontalis muscle. If we're going to treat the glabella, if you just frown, so we're going to treat the procerus just in the front of the nose there, and frown again for me. So we can nicely see the corrugator muscle here. So we're going to then just follow the contour of the eyebrow round, and you frown on this side for me, and just treat that corrugator muscle. So when we are thinking about treating this area, we want to stay away from the mid-pupil line and the lateral eyebrow. If we inject too low directly over the eyebrow, there's a small foramen here where some blood vessels and nerves come out, and if the product then leaks through that hole, it can affect a muscle called the levator palpebrae, and that will then paralyze that muscle for a period of time and cause a lid ptosis, which obviously is undesirable. Now, if you have either a lid ptosis or a brow ptosis, it's not the end of the world. The product lasts 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and the muscle will start to recover and you'll get your normal appearance back. But we obviously want to avoid those points to prevent that from happening, because it will be unpleasant looking like that way for 6 weeks. And then lastly, we're going to just treat the muscles around the eye. So if you smile again for me, smile. So we're going to come out and do some points just at the edges of these lines. We'll typically do a point just underneath the eyebrow, and then we'll just follow that round. We want to remain just on the bony part of the face, not into the soft part or the eyeball. Now, again, women sometimes like to have a little bit of a brow lift, so you could just drop a couple of points underneath the brow very superficially, and again just to create that little bit of brow lift. So when we're treating, when we treat the forehead, we just want to be injecting up and away. When we're treating the glabella, we want to pinch, and we can go deep into these points and a little bit less deep as we get closer to this safety point here. And then when we treat the eyes, we're going to treat very superficially and treat away from the eyes.